This one is for the UFC London People's Main Event, Paddy Pimblett against Jordan Leavitt. This is lots of fun, this fight's going to be. Lots of fun for lots of reasons. First of all, because Paddy's always fun to watch, because that's his kind of style. He's a bit mad, he's a bit chaotic, takes a lot of risks, usually has some kind of spectacular finish, which we'll talk about in a moment. And on the other side, you've got Jordan Leavitt, who's got good wrestling, good sub-defense, good sub-attacks. He's an awkward southpaw that has lots of kicks, and he's quite patient on the feet. Not massively, powerful in his striking, but can definitely catch Paddy if he's running in, if Paddy's not careful. But I do give Paddy the strength and the power advantage in this one. Okay, quick tale of the tape. So Paddy Pimblett with a record of 18-3, Jordan Leavitt with a record of 10-1. Paddy with a slight height and reach advantage, and a finishing capability, as we were talking about. 6 TKOs on his record compared to 1 for Leavitt, and 8 submissions compared to 6 for Leavitt. Both fairly dangerous on the ground. Paddy's is far more about chaos and quick fire submissions. First of all, he's a fan favorite to watch, and second of all, why a lot of people. There's a lot of buzz around his fights because it's going to be relentless. It was all the way through Cage Warriors, and since he's come to the UFC, he's had 2 fights in the UFC. They've both been absolute barn burners. They both kind of keep you on the edge of your seat. You're not exactly sure what to expect, and I also don't think Paddy knows what to expect either, which shows to me that he's got that real kind of that flow state attack, which I've spoken about in the other breakdown that I've just done for Jack Hermansson against Chris Curtis. There's a sequence in that where you can see from the initiation to the conclusion of the sequence, it's like a steady flow. Say steady, it was about 49 seconds or something. But Paddy's the same. He's had a few fights, 18 finishes, 11 first round. He's very good at catching people cold. He's very good at working quick. Doesn't mean he starts like a maniac, because usually we see about 30 or 60 seconds where he's kind of feeling them out and testing to see what they're going to do. But then once he's decided he's closing that distance, they've got to expect 45 seconds to a minute of attack before he even thinks about slowing down. And usually within that minute or so of constant attack, he's found himself into a better position than where he started. Usually he's in mount, or he's on your back, or he's clamped onto a submission, and you've just realised what's happened, and now you're dealing with something that could be fight ending. But on the other side, you've got someone who is largely being underestimated for a lot of different reasons, and he is shorter. He does have a shorter reach. He looks less impactful when he strikes. He doesn't look in the same kind of condition that Paddy is. Paddy looks big, even for lightweight. He looks big. What we can't underestimate about Leavitt is that he's got a lot of skills. His foundation is high school wrestling, and you can see that in his game, because there are 2 sides to his grappling game. He doesn't really want to be on the feet, but then neither of these guys do too much. They both do the majority of their best work on the ground, whether that's ground and pound or submissions. But because he's got that wrestling base, he has the 2 sides of the game that he can rely on. And sometimes we see him take people down and establish a good top position and control them. Other times we'll see him taken down and use his jiu-jitsu or his submission attacks to be able to either reverse the position or create some kind of chaotic scramble where he can then capitalize on top position or whatever. He could use either in this fight. He's only got 33% takedown defense, so I do feel like if Paddy decides he's going to take him down, he's probably going to be able to get him there, especially if he's consistent and aggressive with it. I do wonder though how the longer this fight goes, the more Leavitt starts to lean onto his wrestling and decides he wants to control him in top position, because Paddy on the feet can be very, very difficult to read, very chaotic. And Leavitt likes to be on the outside, kind of a timid southpaw, poking with his legs and not really being the aggressor in the striking range. So if Paddy then starts flying at him with stuff, the most likely scenario in my mind is that he's going to grab him with that body lock and then starts to try and take him down. And that's where Paddy's, his nice judo throws come into play, because he's going to have already given those double underhooks, which means he's going to have to start doing some kind of sacrifice, some kind of, last-ditch attempt, last chance saloon kind of takedowns. I think it's an interesting fight. Of course, it looks like the table's set for Paddy to win, and I do expect him to do very well in this one. But I also can't underestimate Jordan Leavitt. I am convinced that you just cannot predict mixed martial arts. You can't predict what's going to happen. There are so many different variables. There are so many different openings, 4-ounce gloves, momentum, nerves, anxiety, the crowd, the emotion, the expectations. from the outside, from the inside. There's a lot of pressure going into these things, and it can make or break you. Jordan Leavitt, much like a Brian Barberena, can be someone that people can look at and go, yep, I'm going to underestimate that. I'm going to underestimate him, and I'm going to know I'm doing it at the time. And then they can surprise you, and you think to yourself, shouldn't have underestimated him. I don't think Paddy will, but he also can't take his eyes off the prize and look too far ahead, because Leavitt is a very tricky customer. And with that high school wrestling background, it might be just enough to top up his grappling skills to give him the advantage there. Interesting fight. Enjoy it.